Hi everyone, welcome back. If you've ever wondered what the cost of living here is in Mexico City, I've tracked all my expenses for the month of November, and in this video I'm going to break it all down. Although just keep in mind, this is just my experience. Everyone does have different spending habits and could be in different situations, but I hope this just gives you a rough idea of what it can cost to live here. And for anyone new out there, hi, my name is Sherry. I've lived here in Mexico for 10 years now. Well, to jump right into it, I'm going to put all the conversion rates on the screen for you, but just to give you guys what the current exchange rate is today, for $1 it is 18.23 Mexican pesos, and for Canadian currencies, it is 13.07. All right, so for rent and bills, I'm going to save that towards the end, and I'm going to start off with the smaller things first. So for the first thing, that would be my gym membership. I pay $5.99 a month for that, and that is at SmartFit. So that is a no contract plan. It's a basic plan where you just can only work out of the one location. They do have locations all over the city and different other plans to choose from if you want to work out of multiple locations. And that, I don't think I paid a sign-up fee for that one. If I did, it would be very small, maybe like 100 pesos or maybe even less. And that one, it's a good option if you guys are traveling and need a gym to work out at, although you would have to give 1 month notice, so technically you'd have to pay for 2 months, what would be around $60 US. Previously, I was going to another gym. It's called Sports World, and that is much, much more expensive. It was $1,700 a month, and you'd have to pay $3,000 for a sign-up fee, and that was no contract as well. Machine-wise in the gym facility, SmartFit, the machines are just as nice as the Sports World. Everything's very clean, well-maintained. The staff is very friendly and helpful, so I really like it there. So for the next thing, it would be transportation. So I live in a part of the city that's very central. Everything is, I think, is kind of right at my doorstep. So I do a lot of walk everywhere. But for the days that I do need to go, a little bit further, I'll just take the metro. And for the metro, it is 5 pesos. For the metro bus, it's 6. And for the really little, I think they're called combi buses, the really old ones, they are 8 pesos. So if you are wanting to take public transportation here, you will need a metro card. And you can get those at any of the metro bus stations. We have like the little kiosks, you can buy them there. And also too at the metro stations too, underground. And they are 15 pesos, and then you can load them up there at the station. So for me, for the month of November, I paid 120 pesos. I think I probably take the bus or the metro probably around 3 times a week. Honestly, I can't remember the last time I took an Uber. But just to give you guys an example of what an Uber would cost. So let's say you're staying in Roma and going down to Centro, that would cost you, even in the afternoon, would cost you about 100 pesos, so around $5. So yeah, and they do have DD as well, but for myself, I've always just stuck to Uber if I was taking one of the rideshare apps. So for entertainment, I think this is probably an area other people will spend a lot more on, just for the simple fact I've kind of turned into a bit of a homebody in the evening. I'll stay in and just work. But I did go to the movies. That cost 300 pesos, so that included my movie ticket, large popcorn, because I love my movie popcorn, and then a pop, so it's 300 pesos. And then I went out for dinner, and that was at Cancino. It's an Italian restaurant here, and I got a pizza, a drink, and with a tip, it came to 450 pesos. So yeah, so that's kind of all really I spent in the evening for entertainment. So a total of 750 pesos. For the movies, they do have like a movie card. I know back home it used to be like a Cheap Tuesdays, but the movie theaters, I don't have one, but they have this card. It's like a Cinépolis card, and you can get 2 for 1 depending on the day of the week. So that's something to look into. And so during the day, I'm always out. There's lots and lots of parks here to check out. And on the weekends, they have lots of bazaars. They're like little markets. So you'll find vendors selling jewelry, clothes, organic goods, home decor, you name it, they're selling it pretty much. So those are always a lot of fun to check out. On Kalima Street, I remember there are like 3 of them, but they're everywhere throughout the city. And also the city as well. There's always a lot of events happening here in the city. It's never boring here. Just even last weekend when I was walking up to the metro, there was a Christmas parade. So being December, there'll also be a lot of Christmas festivities and things put on by the city. And for that, you can check out, there's a few different sites that are my go-to to find events in the city, and I'll put them on the screen for you. A really good resource if you guys are visiting and looking for events or things to do when you're here. So for shopping, anyone that knows me knows I'm kind of a shopaholic. I've always been this way, can't help it. But yeah, I'm kind of trying to curb my spending the past few months. But here in Mexico City, there is a version of Black Friday. So that happens every November in the middle of November. So this year it was November 13th to 17th. So for that, I spent 1,900 pesos. I bought a pair of jeans, a t-shirt, and then just a pair of slip-on Vans. So it came to 1,900. And oh yes, and then I also started my Christmas shopping for my dogs. That was 400, and that was for a bed and I bought 1 jacket for them. It was on sale for the Buen Fin. But this sale is a really good option if you guys are looking to buy, high ticket items. So when I moved into this apartment, and even the one before, I pretty much got all my furniture, not all of it, but majority of it, like my coffee tables, TV console, my table and chairs. I think I bought 2 TVs at Liverpool. My other apartment I lived in at Gaia, I got my sofa and my bed frame on sale, so I saved quite a bit of money. I think I moved in October, so I just waited a month and a half for the sale, and yeah, I was able to save quite a lot. So I definitely want to watch out for that sale. So for eating out, I cook my food at home. I'll eat out sometimes, but mostly it's at home. So for Uber Eats, I just ordered it once and it was 220 pesos. And for cafes, when I'm walking the dog, I'll pick up a tea or a pastry and then I'll go sit at the park. So for cafes, for the month of November, I spent 950 pesos. And then when I was leaving IKEA, I got something on the way out and that was 200. So for eating out, I spent 1,370. So there are a lot of amazing restaurants here. You can go on a lower end, something more casual, or food vendors, and then up to, fancier restaurants. So if I was going to go out for tacos, maybe on a lower end, somewhere more casual, I could spend 250 to 300 for some tacos and a drink. But if I'm going to go out somewhere nicer and get a nice meal and a drink, that could cost about 800 pesos, and then, an additional, the tip on top of that as well. If I was going to go out for drinks for a friend, again, that's the same. Depends what neighborhood you're in. Probably downtown you can find a beer for like 30 pesos, 50 pesos, something like that. And then maybe in a different neighborhood, you could pay 100 pesos for a beer. But for cocktails a different story. I think it can be expensive no matter where you are. Over here, I think the last time I paid for a cocktail, it was like 300 pesos, which would be around $15 US or just under. So in Canadian currency, even more. Yeah, guys, comment below what you guys paid last time you went out for drinks for a cocktail. It seems like probably more than I would have paid back in Canada for a cocktail. So for groceries, as I mentioned, I do a lot of my own cooking at home. So for groceries, I spend 1,300 a week around there. So for November, I spent 5,200 pesos. So usually I'll do a big order online at Superama. Superama is a grocery store that's owned by Walmart here. And if I order it earlier in the day, in the morning, I can get same day delivery. It costs 60 pesos. Although lately I've been doing multiple trips throughout the week at Sumesa. It's another small grocery store. And, if the weather is a little bit colder, Although it's December and it's still very warm here during the day, but I like to make a stew or a soup and then I'll just freeze it and I have my dinner throughout the week. But when I do that, I'll always go to the Tiangi and pick up, my vegetables for it and fruit too. So I actually made a video a while back for, about all the grocery prices. I went to a grocery store. It's called Soriana. It's located in Polanco. And a lot of people commented, that the grocery prices were a bit more expensive there due to the neighborhood, which is 100% true. So I'm thinking maybe in a couple weeks I'll do another video, but going to the Tiangi's, Mercado, mom and pop stores, things like that, just to show where you can find more affordable price groceries, and also to just do a comparison of the prices as well. And when I do that, I will not go to neighborhoods like Polanco or Condesa Roma. I'll stay out of those neighborhoods so you get better prices. So maybe in the coming weeks I'll also do that as well. And also at the end of that video, I went to Petco. So if any of you guys are pet owners, you could see the different prices of not pet food, dog food and cat food. And you can see that they carry pretty much all the same brands that you would find back in the US or Canada as well. So for pet foods, I have 2 dogs. So for that expense, I buy them raw food. So the raw food comes in smaller packages, so I have to buy 3 packages every week. So that totaled 2,160 pesos. So the whole time I've lived here, I've actually cooked their food. It seems maybe that I probably paid a little bit less when I cooked their food, but being that they have health problems, I wanted to switch over and see if that would help them, see if it would make a difference. But yeah, so that was my bill for dog food. So now for my least favorite parts, the bills. So for internet, the whole time I've ever lived here, I've always gone with Total Play. And for me, my experience with them has always been really good. There are other internet companies like Izzy and Telmex, but I've seen or read, people didn't have the greatest experience with them. Total Play is very, very rare that I ever have to call them because my internet's lagging. And when I have, they're always very, very good about sending a technician. I remember one year on Christmas Day, I had to call, and they actually sent out a technician on Christmas Day to fix my internet. They always just replace my modem and it's back up and running. But yeah, so I have the Sonic package and it is 700 megs through a phone line and the phone line is included. So I pay 770 pesos for that package. So I have the higher package. You can get like cheaper packages, but for work, since I work from home, I wanted the faster package. And for me, it's always been good. I haven't had any problems with it. So for gas, my gas bill. So for that, I think my gas bill is high. So when I first moved into this apartment, my rental agent told me, Sherry, take 1 or 2 weeks, let me know, anything in the apartment that's not working that needs to be fixed, and we'll get it fixed for you. So one of the things was the gas. So I had a really old stackable washer dryer that came with the apartment. And when I turned on the dryer, I could smell gas. So that was one of the things that they fixed. So they sent technicians over. Turns out there was like a small gas leak behind the dryer. So they fixed that, and the stove too, it's a gas top stove. There was something with the gas there too. But I don't think it was ever really fixed because my bill is quite high. Like they put our bills outside on the wall and kind of peeked at my neighbors, and it was less than half of what I was paying. So, and I don't really even use my dryer that much. Even now I have a brand new one and it's supposed to be energy efficient. So I only really use it to dry like my bedding or if I have to fluff up some clothes. And for the stove, I don't really use that much either because I have an air fryer and pretty much I only use that. So for the month of November, I paid 409 pesos for my gas. And also too for showers, I'm not taking half-hour showers or anything. My shower's in and out. So yeah, it's quite high. So if anyone out there, I know a lot of you live in Mexico, let me know if you think this is quite high for one person, 409, or what do you guys pay for your gas? But yeah, 409 for one person. I think it's a little bit high. So for my electricity, CFE, for that I paid 363. Again, I think this is a little bit higher. I think it kind of averages around 300, high 200s around there. But even in December, it's oddly warm. So in the evening still, I'll sleep with the fan on. So that could maybe have bumped it up a little bit. But yeah, so 363 for my electricity. For water, I don't pay water, so that is not an expense. And for my phone, so I have Telcel. I've actually had the same SIM card from when I was on vacation over 10 years ago, so it's a Cabo San Lucas one. So when I was on vacation, I bought a SIM card and just loaded it up with a $10 package, which saved me a lot more money than paying for data back then. So now I pay for a 200 peso package, which I load up every month on my phone, which is good for the full 30 days. And that gives me 7 gigs of data and also unlimited US and Canadian calling. Although, for the last, I guess, maybe couple years, when I call back home to Canada, talk to my family, horrible reception. And I even went to the Telcel store to find out why. I tried a different SIM card, didn't work. So maybe it could be my apartment or the area that I live in, but when I call and the answer is just like all static, we can't hear each other, or it just doesn't even go through. So what I do for that is I use an app. It's called Text Now, and it's free. So you can pick what country you want your phone number and you select whatever phone number. So if you use it enough, the number doesn't expire. So yeah, otherwise, like say if I didn't use it for X amount of weeks, and then I would have to pick a new number. Or I could pay maybe I think it's like $1 and you can own that number, I guess you could say. But I use the number enough so it doesn't ever expire. So that when I use that, it's crystal clear when I call home. And I've had the same number for quite a while. All right, so the last expense is my rent. So as I mentioned, I live in a very central part of the city. So that being said, I will pay a little bit extra. I live in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. My apartment's not new, but I wouldn't say it's old. I'd say maybe it's about 10 years old, around there. And yeah, it's not huge. I'd say it's on the cozy side. So it's not that big. So don't come at me. My rent here is $19,500. So I've lived here for 5 years, and the first 4 years it was 19,000 pesos, and then they wanted to raise it. They wanted to raise it 1,000, but I got them down to 500. So up until last year in August 2024, landlords were allowed to raise your rent up to 10%. Although thankfully they didn't raise it for 4 years. But up until last year in August, they changed it. So now landlords can only raise your rent to what the previous year the inflation rate was. So if they're going to raise my rent this year, which they wanted to, they could only raise it. So what was the inflation rate last year? It was 4%. So legally they can only raise my rent up to 4% this year. So what I asked my rental agent, so I'm like, okay, so if you're going to raise it, can we change the contract? Because I have to renew my contract every single year. So even though I moved into this place in October, I don't know how it's worked out, but I renewed my contract now on December 1st. So I asked, okay, if you guys want to raise the rent, can you put in my contract that we only raise it once every 2 years? So some back and forth, they agreed to it. So this year I'm not going to have a rent increase. They'll do it the next year. But the trade-off is I have in my contract that I can move out anytime. I can break the lease, just in case. I'm thinking, if there was an earthquake, there's a lot of damage, or maybe I had to move back to Canada, that I can break the lease. So that's always been in my contract. So the trade-off was that I have to, instead of giving 1 month's notice, I have to give 2 months. So that is just something maybe you guys, if you're apartment hunting, to put in your contract. And so that is what I pay for rent. Next year, unfortunately, it's going to go up. Well, you guys, that is about it for this video. I'm going to put a breakdown of everything on the screen for you, and the total being what I spent for the whole month of November is 33,741 pesos. So, definitely cooking my food at home, taking the metro, not really going out in the evening, definitely saved me a lot of money. But I hope you guys found this useful, just as a rough kind of estimate of what it can cost to live here. And if you guys did find it helpful, if you guys could please, like and subscribe to the channel, would definitely help me grow. And, also too in the comments, comment below what the cost of living is in your city. It would be quite interesting, to see what it is in other parts of the world. And yeah, you guys, I hope you guys liked it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.